Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, a look at how the war in Iran and inflation concerns are impacting the supply chain. Also tonight, we'll hear about an effort to change the state's workforce ecosystem. And what qualities should you look for in a pet? Those stories and more next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your public television station.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. The latest measure of supply chain metrics shows significant growth in inventory levels and costs, along with warehousing and transportation prices. But what do the numbers say about the overall economy? And for that, we welcome economist Dale Rogers from ASU's W.P. Carey School of Business, our supply chain guru. Good to have you here.
Nice to be with you again.
This Logistics Managers Index that you guys write, what is this?
So it's a rate of change index, and we have a scale from 0 to 100. And we let the people who are telling us about it pick declining, staying the same, increasing. If it stays the same, we give it a 50. If it's increasing, 100. And if it's declining, 0. And then we average all those together, because the idea is before something goes into GDP, it first goes on a truck, on a train, on a plane, and then it goes into a warehouse. And so if you can see what's happening upstream, you can sort of tell the future. And so far it has pretty well.
Well, the latest report, fastest expansion since May of 2022. Now, considering we're talking costs and prices and other things, is that kind of expansion a good thing?
No, it is not. What we want to be is in a sweet spot. We want growth, but I think high 50s, low 60s is where we want to be. Transportation prices this time were up almost at 90, 89.4 or something. And that's what we saw in May of 2022. And if you think about May of 2022, that was right after the Ukraine war. Plus, we're still coming out of the pandemic, the effects of turning the supply chain on with a pandemic. So no, this isn't good.
Transportation prices up, warehousing prices increasing, warehouse utilization not quite as hot. That sounds like that should be a little more sympathetic here, right?
It's interesting. We're seeing capacity go down in some cases. We've taken transportation capacity out. There's real nervousness about what's going to happen in the economy. And so we've seen people pull back. Now, on the inventories going up, inventories are going up because you're not going to run it so lean, like so just in time, because transportation costs more. So you tend to bring more in at a time. You're not going to do smaller shipments. And so that's part of the effect of inventory going up.
You mentioned the start of the Russian-Ukraine war. Oil prices played a factor there as far as the global economy was concerned.
Fertilizer prices?
Indeed, and we're seeing the same kind of thing writ large here. How much of an impact on the overall economy?
It's going to be huge. It's always delayed because stuff happens upstream in the supply chain first, and it takes a while to roll through. I've been thinking, we've been talking about this for over a year. I've been thinking that the impact of the tariffs would really start to hit most in June and July. And now we got this war, which is going to exacerbate that and actually be a bigger factor than the tariffs.
Well, but again, the oil prices impacting price of goods, they have to with the diesel prices and transportation.
Because it's in everything. It's in, if you go to the food store, all the packaging has some impact from oil prices, and everything is increasing.
You mentioned when you look at things upstream and you watch, it's a kind of an early indication, the canary in the coal mine, if you will, for what happens downstream. But can that change on its way downstream?
Yes. Usually it gets amplified.
Ooh.
Because you keep adding costs as it rolls through the supply chain. So usually it's amplified. There's cases where you've got somebody really tough at the end, like say a Walmart or Amazon, and they say, no, you're not passing the costs on to us. And so there's a push and pull.
Right.
But if things are just left on their own, it goes up.
Speaking of passing on prices, inflation, how is that playing into all this? As far as supply chain issues are concerned, how is it playing into the overall economy?
Well, if you look at where we were in the Biden administration, we did have the crazy inflation. They pretty much spent the whole term bringing that inflation down. We were in between 2% and 3% when Trump took over, and now we're headed to above 4%, I think.
Yeah, and that means consumer confidence, I would imagine. It's the
lowest it's ever been.
Really?
I was on here in February, and we were talking about it was the lowest it had ever been in 10 years. And now it is, it's even lower just recently.
Is there any sign of inflation easing in the coming months? Is there any sign of consumer confidence? I mean, let's say something does happen. We got a blockade now, Dale, as far as what's happening in it.
Which is actually going to make prices worse because a fair amount of oil was getting out of the Gulf, just going to China, and it's a global oil market. We saw prices, I haven't looked since probably 7 or 8 o'clock this morning, but prices were already up $4 or $5 a barrel this morning. If that blockade actually is in place, and it's hard to do a blockade over there.
Yeah.
I don't think you can do a whole one.
Yeah, not completely, but you get the job done well enough, it's going to make a difference.
You're just going to stop stuff coming out of Iran. I don't know how that's going to work. I think there's a variable we're not really talking about much, which is a lot of that oil, the best customer for Iranian oil is China.
Indeed.
And are they going to say, yeah, this is okay, go ahead and stop our oil?
I think the administration has always been planning on that for China and Japan.
I think that's a hard deal to make work.
So the bottom line of this Logistics Managers Index, this supply chain metric, the bottom line of the latest index is what?
Well, it's that we're seeing a huge jump, which is not good. And it shows that the pricing particularly, and transportation prices moves faster than anything because it can change several times a day, truthfully. But both for March and then for March 12 months from now, March of 2027, it looks like the transportation prices for sure are going to increase very quickly over the next year.
Last question here. The volatility that we see in so many factors and all sorts of things regarding the economy, all sorts of other things as well. In this case, can volatility be baked in?
Over time, it's a little bit, but truthfully, what you really want is for things to just it doesn't have to stay flat,
right?
But if you want the shape of that curve to be very linear, and you don't want it to do this. And so the enemy of the supply chain manager, and truthfully of the economy, is volatility.
Wow. ASU economist Dale Rogers. Dale, always a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Nice to be with you.
I have never been in Auschwitz since 1945. I am a little bit afraid that when I'll be standing there and realize that over 30 of my really close relatives, including my parents, perished there, I feel a little bit low.
Wednesday at 11 on Arizona PBS.
I believe there's something curious much closer to home.
A murder? I hope you didn't go to any trouble on my account.
Well, I have a robbery, a body, and 2 missing servants on my plate.
The Johnsons were bad for business.
The fishmonger's body's been sent to Melbourne for autopsy.
The dead fishmonger crude for the big fellow. I think we need to take another look at our crime scene.
Saturday night at 9 on Arizona PBS.
On Call the Midwife.
You're a good man, Pastor Robinson.
But you haven't come here to tell me what I'm doing well, have you, Mrs. Wallace?
No. Those cards contain confidential medical information.
I work for the National Health Service.
I'm starting to think we were moved here for a reason. Can't they just breeze in at will?
We are under no obligation to do everything they ask.
Sunday night at 7 on Arizona PBS.
It's about to go down.
The wildlife just take over.
The age of discovery is now.
It's a journey like no other.
Everyone is getting involved in this. You'll see a kaleidoscope of color. It's like magic.
My hands are shaking.
I think I just fell in love.
A nonprofit called Pipeline Connects is a statewide effort to address workforce issues in Arizona by helping people connect to careers, education, and training opportunities. Jim Rounds is president of Rounds Consulting Group and a board member of Pipeline Connects. And Amber Smith, she's Pipeline Connects CEO. Good to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining us. Amber, we'll start with you. Pipeline Connects sounds like it connects.
It does, and it's not a gas pipeline.
No, it's not.
Contrary to some believers. We are a statewide career pathway infrastructure system where we are connecting career explorers beginning in 6th grade, post-secondary college students, job seekers, and employers all to each other, and finding the training and education program along the way right in their own local community.
Connecting what was and can be a fragmented education, employment kind of system, correct?
Absolutely, and that is one of the biggest challenges we're seeing nationally that equals about $1.1 trillion deficit.
Whoa.
What I mean is each of those pieces, career seekers, career explorers, job trainers, educators, and employers all work independently of each other and are siloed.
Yep.
So at every critical point, such as high school graduation or enrolling into whatever kind of post-secondary, those connections do not happen, costing collectively, nationally, $1.1 trillion.
All right, Jim, how did they get fractured? How did this silo business, with these things, that they should be intertwined in some way, shape, or form, how did all this happen?
It's always been like that. I mean, the only reason I became a policy economist is because I had a great professor at ASU say, go apply at the Joint Legislative Budget Committee. You can get out of a test. And so I did it, and it worked out. That was luck. We needed to be more structured, so younger individuals, when they're going in and they're trying to figure out what they want to learn, do they want to take more math, do they want to take other sciences, they need to understand the different opportunities that are there so it's more efficient. They're not borrowing as much money to chase a career that they end up not liking later. It's really trying to make the system more efficient, and we're going to have such big workforce shortages down the road. It's not just a matter of adding volume, but it's trying to create more efficiency with the individuals that we currently have.
Can you create efficiency? Amber, can you do that? Can you make the silos get along?
Yes. The short answer is yes, which is why we exist. Because to Jim's point, students are making decisions to either opt in or opt out of a career, sometimes all the way in elementary school. So therefore, if we can have those students be able to better understand their community college and the programs they have in their community, and of course the universities and those programs that match what they're interested in, we absolutely can connect all of those pieces.
So I'm a 6th through 12th grader here, and I don't really know what I want, but I think I know what I want, but I'm not too sure about how does Pipeline Connects help me?
So I was in graduate school and I still didn't know 100% what I wanted to
right.
do. But for the 6th grader, I think the information is better for the parents because they have such an influence on where a kid ends up wanting to go and the areas of interest. As they get a little bit more into junior high and high school, they have a better idea, and you have to select the right kind of classes to figure out where you want to go and be efficient with it. So I feel like groups like Pipeline, and this is why I've been on the board for a while, I was trying to clear my schedule of different boards, and I just couldn't give this one up because I really feel like it's one of those needed pieces to help bridge that gap. If we can shorten the time that it takes people to get into the workforce, we can keep our current economic momentum going in the state.
And you mentioned impact to GDP, state and national. Is this, Arizona's not alone here?
Arizona is not alone. However, as Mr. Rounds can attest, we have a $180 million positive economic impact due to the connectivity we have created through the system. And that's actually a conservative number, would you say?
Yeah, so usually when we do economic impact analyses, they'll come in a little bit more conservative than what you're thinking the number is.
Right.
Well, this one came in pretty large, and we had to double check the data. And then we still missed it by a decent percentage because they're doing such a good job of getting more of these groups together to be thinking about it. So if we have the K-12 system working with groups like Pipeline, working with the community colleges, we need to make that lift because some of the preliminary findings that we're coming out with a Board of Regents report that we're working on with the regents, it is going to be showing that the state's going to be losing billions of dollars over the next decade because we're not going to be able to maintain our current economic momentum if we can't keep this workforce supply moving forward. So it's not just about bringing in new workers from the outside. We have to be more efficient from inside. But if we do it, it's an opportunity. So it's a risk of losing the money, or it's an opportunity to make that extra revenue.
And Amber, 90% growth since this nonprofit started in 2022 is what I found out here. That sounds fantastic, but it sounds like that also means that there was a glaring need for this that probably still exists. I mean, is 90% growth good?
The ideal system connects every 6 through 12 student to every career pathway offered in Arizona to every hiring employer. So that number far exceeds, we've had extensive growth, but really that's what perfection looks like. Because our job is to better understand what employers need, what occupations do they need students to be interested in going into, and then we have the opportunity to influence those students and better educate them on those available pathways right here in our state, which I think is one of the most critical pieces we need to focus on.
And here's how I see it, is the state's been doing well in terms of the economy after the Great Recession. We've talked numerous times on all the different things that have been done, but we haven't been perfecting this area. So I feel like if we were a car going down the road on the freeway, we're going pretty fast, and then we look down and our parking brake is pulled up. What if we let that thing down? How much faster are we going to go? So the state's already doing well from an economic perspective. We're fine-tuning right now. We're speeding things up. So it's should this have been taken care of? You can only do so many things at once, but now we're working on workforce and other fundamentals again, which is what I like.
Last question, Amber. What do you want to see from public officials, from leaders regarding this particular part of the economy and growth?
Lead with the data. We can start collecting student career interests as early as 6th grade. Let's make sure that we have that information and we can start to inform them better and operate off of one piece of data that influences all of these economic development decisions.
And those silos are getting along, huh? You say the silos are getting along?
They're connected.
They're connecting.
There's nothing political about what we do, which is magic.
All right, Amber Smith, Jim Rounds, good to have you both here. Encouraging report, and thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Show that about 2/3 of U.S. households have a pet, but what makes a good pet and what animals are not the best suited for running around the house or the backyard? Indeed, some animals aren't meant for domestic life at all and can endanger human lives. To learn more, we welcome Joaquin Hidalgo from the Phoenix Zoo and his friend, Linguini.
I brought you one of the most dangerous things that's going to endanger human lives here.
Yes.
You're in danger of being hurt by his cuteness.
Yes, what a good little ferret, huh?
He's a little domestic ferret, and he is legal to own in Arizona, but funny enough, illegal to own in states like California or Hawaii.
Why?
So now you see this cute little face?
Yes.
It is very cute, and he is ultimately harmless to people. However, to livestock, these guys they could potentially be menaces to chickens or other native species. So those states have some protections just in case one of these guys were to get loose.
But ferrets kept indoors make a good pet?
They are a big responsibility, you know. For one, they're quite pungent. They are smelly little things. So if you want to have a good smelling house, I wouldn't recommend having a ferret. They're very, very playful, and you can't just grab one of these guys, plop them into a cage, and be done with it.
Yeah.
They require a lot of enrichment, a lot of different toys, and an animal with this much energy, they need to have the attention of a loving owner.
So what makes a good pet besides not stinking up the house?
You know, I guess it depends on who you ask, right? Because a lot of folks love their big snakes. They love to have their dogs and their cats. And to someone, a big snake may not be a great pet, but they're also low maintenance versus a dog who, again, you have to take out for walks, but that's more commonly seen as a good pet. I think what makes a good pet, honestly, comes down to the big factors. One, is it legal to own? Is it ethical to own, right? That's the big thing. And two, what are you willing to put into this animal, really, right? Like if you have a dog and you go, I can just leave him at home, maybe you shouldn't have a dog. Dogs require a lot of attention too. So in my head, it's whatever the owners as individuals could handle.
But an animal that's affectionate, that is sociable, that is trainable, optimum?
I think so, right? Potty training is a pretty big deal. You don't want your pet to be pooping in the house. Training is a big factor, but for some folks, maybe they don't want the affection of something like licking them and loving them. Just admiring a tortoise out there is cute enough for you too.
So it really is individual. Dogs, obviously, cats, guinea pigs, rabbits, these sorts of things?
Rabbits are funny because a lot of folks will adopt those guys during holiday seasons like Easter, right? What they don't realize is that they're also a big responsibility. And so a lot of the times folks will actually abandon those rabbits and you see them in shelters or in places like us here at the zoo because folks realized, oh, they're a lot more work than I thought they were. And they may not necessarily be as cuddly and definitely not suited for small children like you think.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, but so before you get the pet, you need to know the sociability, the size, how big the pet's going to be, right?
How big they can grow.
Yes.
We've got so many people that buy snakes, right? Little do they know the snake can get up to 16 feet long. And then you end up with situations like Florida where this snake no longer lives in a home and they're out in the wild being invasive species.
As far as animals that should not be considered good pets, and I don't mean like hippos and elephants, but I mean things that people tend to maybe experiment with, what really should stop with that?
Here's the biggest one for me, right? Obviously not big cats. It's illegal to own now thanks to some acts that have been passed, but monkeys. Monkeys are some that people are obsessed with. They're really cute, right? And they're super charismatic. But what people don't realize is that oftentimes monkeys, not one, can be pretty stinky. They scent mark everything with their urine. But ethically, more often than not, that every time you find these animals in people's homes and in cute videos online, the animal's been poached and taken away from the wild. And just to get transported from the wild to get to the States or wherever, it was in some pretty rough conditions. And oftentimes those animals do not survive. So I always tell folks, I know monkeys are cute. They are not good pets.
Well, not only that, but monkeys, I mean, people look at monkeys that are cute. They're usually the young monkeys, correct? The older monkeys can be kind of ornery, can't they?
They can be pretty aggressive, and especially with chimps, right? I think chimps are ones that folks are definitely entirely hands-off now, but you'll see some celebrities in some places that have like a cute baby chimp with them. You don't realize that that animal will grow up and become really, really strong and has a very, very complex range of social needs that just can't be met in a home setting like that.
Which animals that are considered pets by most kind of maintain their wild instincts as you train them and they still got a little bit of that wild going on? Cats.
I think cats will always be a cat. I think cats allow us to be with them, right? But they're still very much a wild animal and also problematic. A lot of folks let their cats go outside and they actually create quite a problem for wild birds out there.
For birds, Yeah, but and again, I mean, wild dogs, no. Feral cats, no. They're just not going to work well as pets.
They're harder to rehab, you know? Like once you see those dogs and cats out there, but it is funny how like I feel like a cat will always keep its wild instincts.
Reptiles.
Reptiles, fantastic, I think. So long as you're doing your research. They're actually a lot more social than you think they are, especially things like bearded dragons and iguanas. And even some big snakes. I think folks don't give them enough credit for how smart they can be.
And they can affect what? The big snake comes over and wants to cuddle?
In a way. A lot of the times they want your body heat, right? But I also think you should understand that this animal now feels comfortable with you, and that goes a long way, you know?
What about birds?
Birds. Now, that's a big one I want to talk about. Parrots, beautiful, very talkative. They can live up to 80 years long, though.
Wow.
So, yeah, a lot of folks put those into their will. And again, they also fall victim to the exotic pet trade. So you got to be very careful where those animals are figuring out where those animals come from.
Last question before you go. Phoenix Zoo, you're involved with this. You're talking to us. Why is the Phoenix Zoo making this message important?
It's very important to us because a lot of the animals that we've actually inherited have become surrendered animals that were pets. A lot of very exotic pets, whether it's snakes, birds. We had a bird who traveled with a magician, right? And we end up with them. We're happy to take care of them, but it's best to not have these animals there in the first place in that situation where they need to be surrendered. So folks, do your research. There's a lot of cute animals out there, but they're a huge responsibility.
Well, Linguini is very cute, and I can't smell him, so he's just fine.
Look at this creature.
Don't let him talk to you like that, Linguini. Joaquin, good to have you here. Thanks for joining us. And that's it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening. I like to think that at Arizona Horizon we are unique in the way that we present information, public policy, sometimes news, these sorts of things, because we have conversations. And I don't want conversations that human interaction